everyone, welcome to Babies with Knives. I am your hostess, Alice Peng, aka Lala Twiddle on the boards. With me tonight is Brandon Powers, my co-host.
Howdy, howdy.
And our dear friend Alexander E. I just call him Alex. And Jacob Blackman, who is a fantastic artist, by the way, if you need something commissioned.
Hello.
Tonight we are going to be doing a character gen session for Werewolf 20th. So, yeah, Brandon's going to lead us through this. Go for it, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm the guy with the book.
Yep. I've got the character sheet in front of me. Book's in the other room with him.
Awesome. Did you give Jacob a thing for the awesome.
Character sheet? I sent it.
I have a form-fillable sheet. Yep.
Yes.
I figured it would be a little easier for folks to have something to go on. So I'm certain lots of people have at least some familiarity with Werewolf, and better people than I could give you a rundown on it. But basically, as a quick thing, werewolves are are gifted individuals that were chosen to protect the earth. Very environmentalism game in some regards. But basically now the earth is dying, that humanity has messed things up, and the werewolves have done more than their fair share of messing that world up. And so now you're in the last days, working your way towards the apocalypse, and you're needing to really try and save the world or save parts of it. So it's a great game. White Wolf obviously did it over 20 years ago, and I highly advise lots of people give it a try along with a lot of the other classic World of Darkness games.
And tonight we're doing the 20th anniversary edition for Werewolf, which is now put out by what company? Is it Modifius or is it... I'm not sure if it's Onyx or Modifius.
I think Modifius has it under their umbrella at the moment.
They split the title. Let me go check. But yes, well,
I'm bringing Modifius up right now on drive-through, just to confirm. No, they don't have that, okay. So it might just.
But it's
they might be under their umbrella.
Okay.
I don't know.
But we will have to look into that and at some other point. So tonight, though, we're going to be making some characters. So let's do this. Excited.
So yes, it is still considered Onyx Path Publishing on drive-through.
Great. So it's under Onyx Path Publishing's flag.
So as a quick thing, there are going to be a couple different stages to character creation. Unlike some games like Mutants and Masterminds that I know everybody here plays, you don't just get a large pool of points and then get told to go hog wild where you want. There are... First of all, coming up with a concept, which you guys, since I don't know how familiar... I know Alice is familiar with Werewolf, but I don't know how familiar the other two of you are. The concept, you can come up with something as you go and you figure things out. There are going to be 3 choices that you need to make. The first is going to be your breed. This is who your parents were, whether you were born in wolf form, whether you were born in human form, to wolf or human parents, respectively, or whether you were born already as a werewolf, which is something that's very shunned in their society. Their religious texts outlaw it, basically. Each of these 3 choices that I'm going to be giving you guys is going to determine the types of spirits that you're most able to work with and the type of magic. They're called gifts that Luna has given the werewolves, what kind of gifts you're able to work with. And so and I'm going to run through all 3 and then have you guys figure them out. The next is the Auspice. This is the phase of the moon that you were born under. And since the werewolves are very tied to the moon, it's a fairly important thing. Each of the 5 different phases of the moon have different places, different castes within werewolf society, and if you go against your phase of the moon, it is a big thing in that culture. The first is the new moon. These are called Ragabash. They are the questioners of the ways. They're tricksters who generally confront problems with cunning or guile, and so their gifts will kind of reflect that. They have the lowest what's called rage in the game, which is why werewolves will sometimes go berserk. The higher your rage, the more likely you are to go berserk. And as the moon swells up, gets larger and larger in the sky, rage, the effect of lunacy, is higher on the characters. The second type is the Therge. These are seers and shamans of the werewolf people. They guide them in a lot of their mystical rites. The third, being the half moon, are the Philodox, which are the judges and the lawmakers. They are, since it's the half moon, they are kind of walking in both worlds between, human and werewolf, between man and werewolves identify themselves as Garou. And they are supposed to be the enforcers of the traditions and enforcers of laws. When different parts of the litany, the werewolves' laws broken, these are the individuals that you'd be looking towards. As the moon swells towards being full, and as the gibbous moon, the Galliard are there. These are lore keepers, tale singers, who kind of inspire the pack that they're with these stories, lead them on through tales of heroism. And so it's not the D&D bard that a lot of people think of. These individuals are really swollen up with rage at a 4 rage instead of the lower rage of the earlier. And so they are the true fighter warriors that, like Beowulf, are the people who would sing that story of Beowulf would be in that Galliard class. And the last one is the Auron, the full moon, and these are the warriors of the Guru. They're also the protectors who will ensure that they are, kept strong in a fight. All 5 types are expected to fight. They're just going to be the best one of them. And the last choice is the tribe that you're coming from. And I know I've given you 3, then I gave you 5. This one's going to be big. This one's going to be 13, and so I'm going to keep this super brief. The Black Furies are the Amazons. The Bone Gnars are the homeless and poor that have almost no wolf left in them, but they're more like street dogs. Children of Gaia are people who are a tribe that is much more oriented towards working with humanity. The Fianna are Celtic wolves. The Get of Fenris are German wolves, which has led to a big association with that. They were big during Nazi Germany, and they have problems to this day with that association. They fought on both sides of the war, but that's kind of something that they get associated with. Glasswalkers are going to be your urban werewolves that are big into technology. Red Talons is a tribe that is entirely born to lupus parents and has very strong beliefs on keeping humanity cold. The Shadow Lords are going to be cunning and deceptive. There's 2 groups of Shadow Lords. One is from Eastern Europe, where think of Dracula and kind of people that might be around there. And then the other one is Japanese, with a Japanese sense of honor and control. The Silent Striders are Egyptian, that they are wanderers. The Silver Fangs are the nobility of the Guru, and they are Russian in their specific backstory. Where there might be a heritage to these, you can come from a lot. That's just the most iconic part of it. The Stargazers are going to be the Eastern people who are very much in that path of self-enlightenment. The Uktena are Native American werewolves that are big into spiritualism. And then the Wendigo are the Native American tribe from the Great White North, who are very guided in being a fairly physical combat survival group. So, like I say, I know that was a lot, but you want to kind of find some meld of those 3 concepts. And anybody ready to go on some things that they thought?
Yep, I already have mine figured out.
What do you got here, Alice?
I am going to be a Lupus Therge Uktena. I am going to be of an Alaskan Husky living out of Alaska and Native American. I felt that given the current climate of the Arctic Circle fire, it would be a very cool character to have in that light.
Awesome. What about the other 2?
I'm thinking about playing a Hamid Arun Silent Strider, who looks who looks very much like a jackal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And Alex?
Let's see. I was kind of thinking, should we do one of each breed? Do we have...
You're welcome to do
the-
on that.
The breed would be the least important one, in my opinion, of doing something different on, but there is still differences. And if you do want to be the Metis, you are more than welcome to.
That sounds good. So the Metis is the born werewolf, sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they're
born
born
half
werewolf. You are you would have grown up as in werewolf form. You are sterile because the blood is so powerful within you that you have problems, and that's one reason that they are outlawed. Even though, like, werewolves mating with humans rarely will turn out a werewolf. If two werewolves mate, it's always a werewolf, but then you can't have werewolf babies in the future with that, and there's a lot of cultural problems with it. But in the modern day, as things go wrong, and this is seen as a sign of the worm, which is the element of destruction that's basically bringing the world to its knees, that's seen as a sign of it, is that there are more and more Metis that are born. So if that sounds interesting to you, by all means.
Right. And let's do that. And...
So you have Ragabash, which are the tricksters, Therages are the seers, Philodox are the judges, Galliards are the lore keepers and tale singers, and then Aurons are the warriors.
I guess being a Metis, might as well go with the Ragabash. And then, let's see.
I think you make a good Ragabash in general, Alex.
Always play to your strengths.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, indeed.
What was the second triad you listed?
There are the Bone Gnars, which are like they're the homeless that werewolves that have learned that the werewolves different tribes will have totems that is their spirit animal or whatnot. Theirs is the cockroach because they will survive anywhere.
Yeah.
And no matter what you do, you can't get rid of them, basically. All right.
Let's do that.
Okay, so a Bone Gnar. So Alex, just going in, you like picked a perfect 3 strikes because a lot of werewolves will have a problem with you because you're a Metis. A lot of werewolves, they're like the Ragabash, they don't really do that much. They're just always kind of getting in our way. And you're a Bone Gnar, and so you kind of like have people looking down on you from all 3 angles.
Seem to fit.
All right. So, for our Hamid Jacob, you have an initial gnosis of 1. This is your spiritual energy. It is used for some of the gifts that are being used. Alex, as a Metis, you have a gnosis of 3. The closer to the wolf that you are, the higher your starting gnosis is. And Alice, as a lupus, your starting gnosis is 5. You're very in tune with the spiritual elements, which works very well being a seer.
Mm-hmm.
So, on Rage, and these are going to be down towards the bottom middle of the sheet on these 3. Rage, Alex is a Ragabash, your Rage is going to be 1. Alice, a Thers, will be 2. And Jacob, as an Auron, you are going to have 5 Rage.
Ooh, you are rage-tastic.
So,
I would like to rage.
yes. That the guy that does that always reminds me of the Gamers, the first one, and when Mark shows up, blood, death, and vengeance.
And then he goes away, and there's just walking around with the NPC, and then every once in a while, shouldn't he rage? Oh yeah, rage!
Mark, it's like I completely forget you're here. Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And then the last aspect that we get for a Bone Gnar, your starting willpower is going to be 4, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
For a Silent Strider, your willpower is going to be 3. Alice, for an Uktana, your willpower will also be 3.
Cool. Marked.
And just going through to see. Renown is going to be any 3. I'm just going to make a couple notes.
I'm going to be a husky firefighter.
A husky firefighter?
Well, yeah, I'm an activist, so. And at the moment, that means fighting an Arctic fire, apparently, that's taking up a third of the Arctic Circle.
Okay, that's 3 in any combination. Alice, you're going to have 3 wisdom.
Okay.
And Jacob, you're going to have 2 glory and 1 honor. Alex, I'm not going over yours because you get to pick any 3 that you want, and so we can get into that a little bit later. Also, Alex, as a Bonar, resources are discouraged, and you are prohibited from ancestors or pure breed.
Alrighty.
For a Silent Strider, ancestors are restricted and resources are discouraged. And as an Uktana, Alice, you have no background restriction.
Cool.
Alright, so then we're going to move into the characteristics area on the character sheet where you're going to have physical, mental, and social. And so you need to pick one of those to be your primary, where you're going to get the most points, one to be your secondary, and one to be your tertiary.
Okay.
And so they all start at 1 to start with for free, because everybody's got a strength score, everybody's got a dexterity score, etc. But your primary, you're going to get 7 points to assign. Your secondary, you'll get 5 points to assign. And your tertiary, you'll get 3 points to assign. Physical is pretty obvious. Strength, how strong you are, how much damage you're going to do if you punch somebody or rip them apart with claws. Dexterity is going to be your accuracy in combat, as well as everything associated with dex. Dodging. Stamina is going to be how tough you are. If somebody beats on you, you're going to use your stamina to soak damage up. In the socials, charisma is going to be inspirational or direct. It's kind of direct social applications. It's kind of like the strength of social combat. Manipulation is going to be much more the dexterity of social combat, that if you're trying to manipulate somebody to a specific goal. So if you're going up and giving a speech, a lot of times that would be charisma. If you're trying to convince somebody of something, a lot of times that would be manipulation. Appearance is more going to be like first impressions, and you're going to use that a lot when you're first interacting with people. In mental, perception is noticing stuff. Intelligence is how much processor power your computer has, and wits is how much RAM, so how fast you get someplace. So, Alice, do you have those broken down already?
Yeah, I do.
What do you got?
I have 7 in mental, which gives me 4 perception, 3 int, 3 wisdom. 3 wits. I have 5 in physical, which puts me at 2 strength, 4 dex, 2 stamina. And I have the 3 in social, which puts me at 3 manipulation and 2 appearance, with a 1 base charisma.
Cool. So you listed off 2 4s. One was perception, and the other is dexterity. Do I have that right?
Correct.
All
Which
right.
means that I need to go and do special stuff for it.
Yeah. So we're going to get specialties a little later.
Problem. Take it.
But anytime you're going to get up to 4 or higher, you're going to get a specialty. How about you, Jacob? How did we do?
All right, I put my 7 in physical for a strength of 3, dexterity of 3, and a stamina of 4. I put my 5 in mental for a 3 perception, 2 intelligence, wits of 3, and my 3 in social, which has 2 in all.
Okay, and Alex?
Let's see. I put my 7 in physical. So this is on top of the 3 that are already there, right?
You get
The
1
base
for
ones
free.
in each.
Yeah.
These
Okay.
are in addition.
Alright. So I put 4 into stamina for the full 5.
Oh, okay.
3 total dex, 2 strength. I put 5 in mental for. Let's do the 4 wits, 3 perception, and just the 1 intelligence. And then, I think for social, I'll put them all in manipulation.
Okay. Well, looks like you're the strongest in a social out of the group, but you're pretty weak in a lot of them on the socials. So then we're going to come down to the abilities section where you have. Oh no, I didn't look at this character sheet ahead of time. You have talent, skills, and knowledge just because they're blanked out, which is not a problem. But for the fact that I'm going to have to go through them, so. Jumping to that section. And so the talents are going to be stuff that you can do naturally. Skills is a combination of natural ability and having learned something, and knowledge is almost entirely learned. So for talents, we have alertness, which is going to once again be noticing things. Athletics is going to be doing things. Brawl is going to be punching people but not using weapons. So your lupus, your claws, your teeth, such like that, that's all going to be in Brawl. Empathy is going to be your ability to identify emotions within people and then to be able to use those emotions in some regard. It's actors, con artists, counselors, detectives. Expression is getting your point across to an audience. That would be written or spoken or any other medium. Intimidation is scaring the crud out of people. Leadership is what it sounds like, and being able to give people confidence that you are a good leader. Primal Urge is your ability to tap into the wild and be able to accomplish things through that. If you are shifting forms, Primal Urge is one of the ways that you will get there quickly. Also, if your Primal Urge is higher than your alertness, you're able to use that on some rolls instead. And the way that works is that it's you don't not necessarily consciously notice things, but you would notice them just innately. You would take note of the smell and realize something. Streetwise is dealing with criminal networks, junkies, lowlives. And subterfuge is hiding your motives. Those are the talent lists.
And
go ahead.
And for those of you following along in the book, that's going to be page 126 in the book or 128 in the PDF numbering.
Yes, thank you, Alice.
You're welcome.
For skills, Animal Ken is going to be dealing with animals, understanding that animals work differently on a different set of presumptions than humans, and be able to use those to work with them. Crafts, making stuff, drive, getting into a car and driving it while you have bad guys beating on it. Etiquette is not vomiting in people's laps. Had a Japanese dinner for our ex-President Bush. But, avoiding faux pas. Firearms is being able to use a gun. Larceny is familiarity with tools and techniques of a professional criminal. Picking locks, forging documents, cracking safes, hot wiring cars, all that fun stuff. Melee is fighting in melee combat with weapons, as opposed to where firearms is shooting with weapons, and then brawl is just punching them. Athletics, as a note, you can do for if you're throwing things and such. Performance is providing a moving performance, singing, dance, art, that kind of stuff. Stealth is not being noticed. Survival is being able to live out in the wild. Those are the skills. You guys ready for knowledges?
Yep.
All right. Academics is knowing stuff. Literature, history, art, philosophy, liberal arts. Computer is going to be making your computer do things that it was designed to, but probably a lot of people want to prevent you from doing. Enigmas is the ability to solve logic puzzles and mysteries, things like that. Alice, as a note, the Uktena have Werewolf 20. This was one of my only complaints with it, and I get that some people don't like these. Each tribe had a negative to it, a drawback. The Get-a-Fenris were naturally intolerant to something. Mm-hmm. It was just part of them. And Werewolf 20 didn't really take it, but they had used it. It was always an optional thing. And so the Uktena optional thing is that they get obsessed with mysteries, if I remember it correctly.
I actually remembered that and noticed that I am already weighting myself towards that. As far as I understand it, it was mysteries and conspiracies, right? That I am like a conspiracy theorist.
That's, I think, one of the ways to do it. I mean, it is oriented towards the spiritual world and such, and them trying to, figure all that out. But yes, as I remember, it causes them to basically delve into dark magics, and so they're curiosity,
Curiosity kills the cat.
And that the next in the knowledges is investigation. Finding physical evidence, witness statements, things that a police officer would do during their day-to-day operation, or anybody that's trying to figure out what's going on. Law is your familiarity with law enforcement and legal codes. Medicine is what it sounds like. Occult is dealing with areas of the occult. Psychic phenomenon, tarot, magic, mysticism. Rituals is going to be the ritual magic of werewolves and your ability to use that, which as a Therge is a fairly important aspect a lot of the time. Science is academics, but it's knowing stuff about chemistry and such. And then technology is the hardware application of computers and a lot of the other stuff. If it's craft is, you're going to more make, things that aren't focusing on the electronics or the mechanical, where your mechanical stuff might not have the engine. Technology is more putting the engine into that one way or the other. And those are the knowledges. Is there any ones that you guys want me to bang through again?
No, but it's 1395 for this step.
That
right?
is correct.
Awesome.
You pick a primary, a secondary, tertiary. You get 13 in your
9.
primary, 9 secondary, 5 in your tertiary, and you do not start with any free points in this because not everybody is good at something.
Yep. Cool.
Is there anywhere to see that list?
Yeah, like I was saying, Alex, I sent you a message in Discord, so you should have that.
Got it.
And it will be on page 126 in the book or 128 in PDF numbering. I have the reference pulled up for you right in Discord.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so I am looking at being high on knowledges. So I'm looking at 13 in knowledges, 9 in skills, and 5 in talents. That's where I'm leaning. I'm going to be specialized in alertness with a 4 in alertness. And then I'm going to have my last point in brawl. I was thinking of brawl or empathy. But actually, I think I might put 5 into skills instead. That might work better. Because empathy and such seem to lean more towards what I'm looking for. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to go with my 13 in knowledges to go with the idea that I am very investigative, enigma'd out kind of person.
So, Alice, as a note, you are not able to take crafts, drive, etiquette, firearms, larceny, academics, computer, law, science, or technology.
I remembered most of those. Basically, stay away from anything tech-oriented or modern society-oriented was my memory of it. So that's exactly what I did. I can take medicine, correct?
Medicine is not on the restricted list.
Okay.
Though for some reason larceny is, but I guess you can do stealth with that end, which would be the effect of a wolf stealing something from you. And also, just as a side note, a lupus character, they do age in dog years rather than human years. Now, after they come through their change, they age a bit slower, but it's still a lot faster than most people. And so you're, as a starting lupus character, you're probably like under 2 years old.
So in the end, I have 4 in alertness, 2 in brawl, 1 in empathy, 2 in primal urge. I'm a very observant person, with multiple ways of observing the world. In abilities, I have 2 in animal ken, 2 in stealth, and 1 in survival. In knowledges, I have 3 in academics, I have 4 in enigmas, I have 2 in medicine, 2 in occult, 2 in rituals. Those are where I have laid out. So
go through the knowledges again for me.
Sure. In knowledges, I have 3 in academics, 4 in enigmas, which I
academics you cannot take.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You had, remember, before you first changed, you never read a book.
Okay, that's true.
The ability to read might not even be something you've ever prioritized because it's not something that your mind would naturally go towards.
I remembered all my other, and actually that makes it easier because I needed some investigation that I skipped. So, 7. So yeah, put those 3 in academics into investigation. That's what I should have gone. So 4 in enigmas, 3 in investigation.
You're going to be capped at 3, which I guess does go to your alertness as well.
Okay.
On any of these at the moment. Sorry.
No problem. I thought that I could go to 4 and take specialty off the bat. No
there's going to be some freebie points at the end that will allow you to do that.
To get into specialty, that's true. Well, that makes it easier because then I will put it into rituals. Sure. I'll put 3 into rituals. Actually, 3 into occult instead. And I drop my alertness and I'll move that over to expression. So that's
to expression?
Yeah. Empathy. Empathy is
empathy, okay.
So it's 2 empathy. So alertness 3, brawl 2, empathy 2, primal urge 2, animal ken 2, stealth 2, survival 1, enigmas 3, investigation 3, medicine 2, occult 3, and rituals 2. I already have my base advantages for Utena written down, by the way. My sense magic, sense worm, shroud, spirit of the lizard. And
you're going to have to choose.
I know. I just have those written down on notes.
Them all.
I know. I have to choose 1, right? But I just have those written down for later.
All right. What about you, Jacob?
Okay. Let's see. I decided to go heavy on talents, moderate on skills, and light on knowledges. I've 2 alertness, 2 athletics, 3 brawl, 2 intimidation, 1 leadership, 2 primal urge, and 1 streetwise. For skills, I have 2 drive, 2 in firearms, 1 in melee, 2 in stealth, and 2 in survival. For knowledges, I have 1 in academics, investigate, law, medicine, and occult.
Academics, investigate, law, medicine, occult.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So I got most of those down, but I didn't do it all the way. So if you want to run through that list again.
For the knowledges?
I got the knowledges, actually. It's actually the talents. It looks like I'm the only one behind on.
Okay. Talents. 2 alertness, 2 athletics, 3 brawl, 2 intimidation, 1 leadership, 2 primal urge, and 1 streetwise.
Awesome. Thank you much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to make notes as I go, but my ability to write as fast as talking, not necessarily there.
Indeed.
Aye. Alex, how about you? How are we doing?
Still trying to figure out my knowledges. I went heavy on the talents. I basically matched Jacob's kind of general set there with the talents high, skills medium, and knowledge is low. So got on talents alertness 3, athletics 1, brawl 2, empathy 1, and streetwise subterfuge and primal urge all at 2. And then for skills, I put crafts at 1, drive at 1, larceny at 2, stealth at 2, and survival at 3. And then I still have my 5 points for knowledges.
What came between drive and stealth?
Larceny?
Larceny at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, reference thing here is going a little slow, looking at the list. Let's see. It's at 5. Let's do Enigmas 1, Investigation 1, Occult 1, and actually let's do Occult 2 and Rituals 1. Right, that's 5?
Yep. All right, and Alice, you're the knowledge heavy one as the lupus. It's a kind of cool
funny.
choice.
Yeah, that's kind of
All right. So then you guys get 5 points in backgrounds, and this is just kind of something that has led you to who you are. It's either special things about you or resources that you can pull upon, magic items. They're called fetishes that you carry with you. So you get 5 points, and you can dump all 5 into one thing. I covered the restrictions or discouraged with you guys earlier. There are allies, which are going to be friends and confidants among humans and wolves. These will be people with good jobs or good, pull in some regard. Ancestors is your ability to talk to the guru that have gone before you through the spirit world. And so that would allow you to commune and seek knowledge from them. Context is not so much having somebody who's really going to put it on the line, but a network of people that you can talk to and tap for information. And so somebody who, wants to have their ear in on the street, they might have a lot of contacts, but not necessarily have allies. Fate is that there's a prophecy surrounding you and your pack that you will fulfill. Fetish is having some sort of supernatural item that is bound to you. Some of these are, fairly small, minor things, and then as you invest high into fetish, it can become these, really powerful artifacts. Yeah, and sometimes, there's these werewolf killing weapons, effectively called claves, that are big swords. And if you would have one, which would take 4 fetish points, as I remember, people are going to look at that, notice that, and then have specific reactions to you because of it. The clave is just the one that always pops to my mind, but there's lots of them that if you're a new werewolf or you're a young cub, why do you deserve this? Or some of them might be deferential to you because you carry this with you. Kinfolk are relatives. They are people, like I said, humans. When werewolves breed with humans or with wolves, they don't often turn out actual guru. Kinfolk are people who basically have the recessive gene in them. The benefit of having kinfolk, these are not allies. You get a lot more of them, but they are people who are immune to an effect called the delirium. When a werewolf goes Krynos, the half-man, half-wolf form, humans aren't designed to be able to deal with that. They freak out and they lose their shit. Kinfolk are immune to that, whether that is good or bad, because seeing a Krynos werewolf and remembering it the next day has its own set of alcoholism associated with it. But these are people who are going to be aware of this duality of your nature while they can't feel it themselves, are invested in that culture. And so they aren't going to be like the veterinarian or the doctor or something like that. They're going to more have cruddy jobs, and you're going to get a lot of them that you can call upon. Mentor is a guru of higher rank that takes an interest and can offer you advice, offer you training. Pure breed is that you do have a pure breed to you. This is something that the Bonar cannot take because they are all just a bunch of mongrels. But people, similar to fetish, people are going to notice it. Some people will be deferential to you because of your breeding. Other people it might cause problems with. Just like if you go and walk down certain streets and look like you're dressed to the nines. Resources is having spending cash. Rites is the number of rites and rituals that you know, actually, while the ritual skill is your ability to use them or your knowledge, just like your book learning about them. Rites is that you can cast this spell. They aren't like, quickly go, I cast magic missile. It's a more involved process. Spirit heritage is that you have the touch of a spirit upon you, and a particular one, and they treat you as their own. And then the last one is totem. Your pack can invest in a totem together, or you can have your own totem. If you have your own totem, then your pack's totem, if they get one, cannot benefit you. But these are powerful spirit animals, like I mentioned for the Bonars. Cockroach is their clan totem. But they are powerful spirit animals that provide benefits. And there's all sorts of different ones. The Werewolf 20 book only has some of them, but like in the Glasswalker, one of the spirits in there, in the old book there, is the almighty dollar. Because, what do Americans worship more than just money? And so it's anything that can take on that kind of aspect of being something more than it is, and it will provide benefits to you and your group. So, like I say, you have 5 points to spend among these, depending on where you see that. Do you guys have any questions?
I've been debating for a little bit, trying to figure out, and I think I'm going to go with allies. But I was thinking either allies or kinfolk, and I'm thinking that I'm coming from a town similar to Haven. So,
Okay.
a very small, close-knit town with very few people, and some people have that understanding of certain people being a bit supernatural.
So I would say that so far from what I've heard from you, you're thinking very human-centric for the lupus. Because I've heard that you have a job. I've heard, talk about humans and such like that. I just wanted to ask about that.
I have a job.
You said firefighter.
Oh, I was making a joke about firefighting. Because
I did not know it was a joke, but
I am an activist because of the wildfires.
There's another one. Yeah, is that being an activist?
Well, okay, but that was the term. But no, it's the joke.
She could be a rescue dog.
And that's the reason I'm just asking about it.
I don't have a job, but I was thinking, I'm not looking at being superhuman-centric in the sense of being very human, but I want to have that connection to a small town of people, of humans, where it gives me some connection to this very foreign world. But I did choose lupus, and I'm not actually, I don't have a job or anything like that, but I'm thinking about the current climate in the Arctic Circle right now, and having a community of people that I may want to defend for one reason or another.
Gotcha. I just wanted to ask about it because
I was making a joke about the firefighting given the Arctic Circle fire. It is really scary and nasty right now up there.
All right, so you're thinking of kinfolk or what?
So I was thinking of either allies or kinfolk, and the truth is that given that I am very lupus, I chose to go with allies, so people who are willing to, but rather than kinfolk, especially since I was debating to take pure breed or not too. So I went with 2 allies, 1 fetish, and 2 rights.
So, is there a reason that you didn't want any wolf kinfolk?
I was thinking about wolf kinfolk because, but, I was debating between, like I said, allies or kinfolk. I do like the idea of having kinfolk. Is the truth. The mixture of of wolf and human, and I think is why I wanted it, because for the kinfolk, if I took that, I would take that at 3, and I would have 10 at that point, and I would say 5 human, 5 wolf, to just kind of bridge that gap for me of bridging towards that foreign world. So yeah, I'll go back to kinfolk.
I was just wondering, because when you just mentioned, you mentioned human again, so.
No,
But
sorry. But allies, I was like, if I stuck with allies, I would stick with more of them being human, because again, they're useful and have jobs and stuff. So, but yeah, I'll go back to kinfolk, because that way I have 3 in kinfolk, 1 in fetish, 1 in rights, and that would give me 10 kinfolk, I believe. Which at that point I'll split down the 5 humans and 5 wolf.
Awesome. What about you, Jacob?
I'm trying to debate a couple of things here. I was thinking about putting several points into pure breed, and I like the idea of that clave. I want a nice signature weapon, because
I have a fetish. 1 point, so I have a rank 1 one. What?
Let's just keep saying that online.
That's what I heard too, Alex. But
I have a background of 1 point in fetish, so I get a totem, a little necklace or something. Okay, stop being with your dirty minds.
I understood what you meant.
Thank you.
But
Jacob.
we also heard what you said. But yes, the clave is, if our memory serves, it's going to be 4, and then there's one that's even the nastier, the grand clave, which is a full 5 points in fetish.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put a point into pure breed and 4 into fetish. Nice. So he's noteworthy, and he has his father's lightsaber.
Why do you have your father's lightsaber? He died? Left it to me.
Someone's going to come in and actually confess to being his father.
All right, and Alex, how about you?
Randy, what's the deal with the totem?
So a totem, werewolves, and we haven't gotten into this, but that Gnosis score that we covered first thing, basically, after you guys made your 3 choices, that is your ability, your comfort in the spirit world. As a Metis, you're at Gnosis 3. You guys, when you look into a reflective surface, can step sideways. This is going from our world to the spirit world.
The Umbra.
Which everybody's got a pretty easy, understanding. It's a reflection of our world, and so where in the spirit world, maybe there's in the real world there was a tree that was cut down, but it was a really important tree for a long time, like the in California, the tree that you could drive through that went down 2 years ago in the storm. And then you go to the spirit world, that tree's still there because it was so important, and there's a strong memory of that tree. And so in the spirit world, there are spirits, and so you can get a totem, and the totems will provide you different benefits depending on which totem you pick. But the werewolves, going with that duality of nature, human and wolf, affected by lunacy, things like that, when they designed the game, they went with the spiritual that you guys can move over to the spirit world, and that's where the totems come in as well. Adventures, sometimes the adventures that werewolves go on have nothing to do with the mundane world. It's entirely in the Umbra, which is what they call the spirit world. As you can go into like outer space in the Umbra, but the further that you get from the immediate surroundings, the less and less things make sense. So then start picturing, Doctor Strange trippy LSD time as you get deeper and deeper.
Okay, so that's mainly spirit world stuff. Yeah, I'll put 1 in totem. Let me get a bigger fetish than the Lala, so I'll put 2 in there. And I'll put 2 in contacts.
Okay.
I'm the one with the lowest fetish points in this group.
Alice, you have the least fetish among us. Okay. So, let's scrolling back through my PDF. There I am. We have... Okay, so at this point, let's go to gifts. So let me jump to that chapter.
I already have two of my 3 selected.
All right, so as a Hamid, which is Jacob, there are a choice of gifts. Pardon me. Apecraft's Blessing. Though many of Gaia's children use tools not have mastered them so thoroughly as humanity, the Hamid focuses this mastery into the tools she uses, causing the spirits to awaken. An ancestor spirit or spirit of man-made objects teaches this gift. Okay.
Ooh, you
so
should do that
werewolf,
and then have it tied to your fetish because you've got that big weapon.
Werewolf spends their turn concentrating. It's a witscraft roll. Each success reduces difficulty by 1 to use a tool. City running is you spend a rage. You can climb urban features at your full movement, so you spider climb basically. Master of Fire, spend a Gnosis, and for the rest of the scene, fire inflicts bashing rather than aggravated damage, so basically you can soak fire damage a lot better. White Wolf games have 3 different types of damage. They have bashing, which is if I just punch you. They have lethal, which is if I stab you, or if I keep punching you after you're unconscious. And then they have aggravated, which is wounds that do not really heal. If I'm burned, that's never going to really heal. If I'm stabbed, I need to go to the hospital, but that will heal at some point. Werewolf Claws, Teeth, those cause aggravated damage. Silver causes aggravated damage to werewolves, and it's something that they cannot normally defend against, which is the reason that silver is so nasty to them. Persuasion it lowers difficulty on social rolls. Smell of Man is creatures system. Wild animals lose 2 dice from their dice pools when interacting with the guru, save when defending or running away, because you smell like something opposite of them. And so you get to pick one of those as your Hamid gift, Jacob. Did you have any questions on those?
No, they sound pretty straightforward. I'm trying to debate between City Running or Master of Fire. I think, let's see here. I've only got 1 Gnosis. Hopefully I can build that up with my freebie points. I think I will take, I think I'll take Master of Fire.
Awesome. All right, moving on to the metas. And some of these will repeat because it's...
and they will
these are spirits. Yeah, and that part I'm not looking forward to as we're doing this. But spirits will teach these gifts, and so it's just the werewolves that are descended from humans are naturally inclined to this gift and such like that. As a metis, you can create an element, which my cropping is not working here. Hold on just a second while I fix that. And for some reason my page got jumped. There's metis gifts again, and crop that, and turn that there. Crop. All right. You can spend a Gnosis point, and then you roll your Gnosis score. Each success allows you to create a cubic foot of the desired element. And so, fire without matches, air in an airtight room, things like this, the 4 basic elements. Primal Anger, you can inflict a single level of aggravated damage on yourself once per scene to gain 3 points of rage, even if doing so takes you beyond your normal rage. Rat Head, spend a Gnosis and roll Dexterity Athletics for the rest of the scene. The metis may squirm through any gap she can fit her face into. Sense Worm is a perception occult 2-sense worm. So getting into the spirituality behind werewolf, which is an important aspect to it. There's, at the core, before creation existed, there are 3 things. There is the wild that makes things. These are just concepts, ideas. There's no shape to them at all. But the wild spews stuff out. There is the weaver that takes what the wild has made and conforms it into something. And so that's, primal nature is kind of a mix of the weaver and the wild, but humanity is looked at as something that the weaver has taken over because they are very much about controlling mastery of their universe. And then there's the worm, which is the destroyer. And so these three things are supposed to work in harmony, is that the wild makes, the weaver, makes it into something specific, and then the worm will destroy it, giving back to the wild to make something again. And they're just supposed to go like this. Depending on the belief, the worm or the weaver basically went off the rails, and now we're in messed up land. But going to the worm, that sense of destroyer. Werewolves hate vampires, vampire being the first game, World of Darkness, werewolf being the second. And it's because the vampires are worm creatures. If you've listened to Alice's wonderful Liberty Legion shorts, Cancer Stick would be a worm creature. Anything
Did
dark.
listen to that one.
Shadows of Brimstone is filled with worm creatures, and so you would be able to. Yep, Abomination. You would be able to sense those things through the use of that. Shed, dexterity plus Primal Urge. If the roll succeeds, character loses a tuft of fur or skin, allowing them to slip free of grapples or bonds. So those are the ones for you. Shed, being able to slip free of grapples and bonds. Sense worm. Rat head, being able to squirm through things. Primal anger, being able to generate a bunch of rage or create element.
Rat head sounds fun.
I thought so too, actually. I honestly do not remember that from back in the day. I'm not saying it wasn't there, but when I read that one, I was like, wait, what? Rat head? Alice, Hare's Leap, or did you already go through yours?
Uh-huh. So I'm going to
what did you pick?
heightened senses.
Okay, so that just gives you what it sounds like, heightened senses,
It
right?
allows me, when I switch forms, when I am in Glabru or Hamid form, to maintain my lupus senses. So I can still smell and taste and hear like a wolf, regardless.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you also had the option of Hare's Leap, which is super jump.
Mm-hmm.
Sense Prey, which, what does that one do?
I didn't remember that. It didn't sound
okay.
in line with me, so you're welcome to go read that out loud to people.
You can find nearby
perception
churches or temples.
Alex, you get a hero point. Werewolf doesn't use them, but you get a hero point. Perception Primal Urge indicates a location enough to feed a pack for the day. So basically, you find something to eat. Predator's Arsenal. Concentrate for a turn to access, gain access to claw and bite attacks in Hamid form. Prey Mind, Wit's Primal Urge. Bonus to escape, outdistance, and hide and evade from pursuit. Kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Heightened Senses sounds awesome.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Then we move on to... Yeah.
I think I'm going to be changing my gift to City Running. It just makes more sense for my character than the fire thing.
Sounds great.
Ragabash, gifts. Blur of the Milky Eye, manipulation plus stealth. You're already really good at manipulation. And you make it harder to see you based on the number of successes that you've got. Infectious Laughter makes some sort of mocking comment of the present situation. Manipulation expression. Success causes those who hear the comment and laughter lose hold of their ire and forget. So basically you subvert people's anger and you're like, hey, it could be worse. You could be a Metis Ragabash Bonar. And then they're like, oh, you're right. Things aren't as messed up as I thought they were. Which is, some people might look at that and they're like, well, that doesn't sound that great. But some people come in and play Werewolf as a combat game. Let's go and D&D bash, basically. But there is a lot of social element, just like a wolf pack has a lot of social element to it. And that, to me, is where the game really lies. And so that is actually something that can be really awesome, given the situation when people come up to Jacob and they're like, hey, I like your sword, give it to me. And you're like, hey, you could be me. And if he messed with him, you could be me at that point. Liar's Face. Charisma Subterfuge. Automatically effective against humans, causing them to believe the Ragabash is lying. Supernaturals have a chance to resist it. So that you get your lies believed automatically. Open Seal. Roll a Gnosis if the object is sealed with magic. So, yeah, you are able to open locks. And Scent of Running Water makes tracking on you difficult.
Wait, the liar's face means everything will never be believed by a human.
After the character makes his truthful statement, the player spends 1 willpower point and rolls Charisma Sub. The gift is automatically effective on humans, causing them to believe the Ragabash is lying. Oh, okay, no. Yeah, Supernatural listeners, willpower. So yes, they will believe that you're lying no matter what you're telling them. And a platypus spirit teaches the gift. How awesome is that?
That is pretty awesome.
Let's see. Let's do the infectious laughter.
That's a cool one. Alice, we move on to Therges. I'm assuming you've gone through them.
I am taking the Spirit Snare, which... Let me go find Spirit Snare again. But yes, I like the Spirit Snare. I believe it's taught by the Owl. Let me go double check that. The Spirit Snare, yep. The Therge casts out an invisible mystic net which entangles hostile spirits, confounding them with a mixture of magical force and long broken but still potent Gaian law. An owl spirit teaches this gift.
That's cool. Your other options are Mother's Touch, which is a heal. Yes. Sense Worm, which I think it was, Alex says the Metis had the option of already. Mm-hmm. Spirit Speech, just being able to talk to spirits. And then Umbral Tether, which is being able to basically find your way back after you've been in the Umbra for a very long time. All of which can be really cool and useful. The Auron gifts, Falling Touch. It's a stamina athletics, it's a willpower roll opposed by their stamina athletics. That's the difficulty that it's set. And if even one success on it, they fall to the ground just on a touch, basically. Inspiration is spend a Gnosis point, and your comrades get a willpower to use. Pack Tactics. Spend a willpower point before initiating pack tactics and get bonuses on that. And Razor Claws is spend a rage and turn sharpening your claws, and then your attacks do additional damage, and the difficulty is lowered for them doing damage for the rest of the scene. And Spur Claws, spend a rage. The next successful claw attack the character makes buries her claws into the victim, where they stick after breaking free from the werewolf's fingertips until the victim has time to pull them out. They suffer a +2 difficulty on all actions. The Guru's claws take a full turn to regenerate. So they come back pretty quick, but that sounds very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with Falling Touch, just for that fun ability of poking him in the chest and they collapse.
All right, Bonar's talents. We have Cooking Pot, basically being able to turn anything into something edible, as long as you can cook it in your pot. Desperate Strength. When rolling a feat of strength, you add a die to the roll for each level of bashing damage that you're willing to accept as the price of the gift. Resist Toxin was basically becoming hardened against arsenic, alcohol, other toxins. Scent of Sweet Honey. Spend a Gnosis, roll a Wit Subterfuge, and the target suffers. So, you just make them smell a certain smell sweet, so they suffer penalties, and the smell will not wash off, and vermin are attracted to them. It looks like. Trash is Treasure. Player takes hold of a broken object, rolls a Witscraft roll. The object functions perfectly for 1 turn per success. Those are the Bonar ones that you get. Alex?
Let's do Trash's Treasure.
Okay. So you can take, something and make it awesome for a certain length of time. Then I am looking... Gotta go for a while. Alice, do you know yours?
For my last one, yes. I took... Sorry, I was referencing something else. I took Spirit of the Lizard. Spirit of the Lizard is taught to me by a lizard spirit, and it allows me to extend my claws, sprout little extra nails and claws on top of mine that allow me to climb or scale any surface, vertical, even completely sleek horizontal surfaces. I just start to climb.
That's awesome. What were some of the other choices that you had?
Let me go double check that. This is for the
If you don't
Utena,
have it, that's
right?
fine.
This is for the Utena?
Yes.
Great. I have that. Let me just... Oh, shoot. I just lost it. Treble Gifts. There we go. And scrolling a little bit. Treble Gifts start on page... I scrolled it.
Don't worry about it.
Sure.
So, Jacob, for the Silent Striders, you can take Heaven's Guidance, where you get an innate sense of direction, always knowing which way north is and the path you took to reach where you are. Especially good if you're going against Minotaurs. Sense Worm, like the Menace gift that was offered to somebody else at one point. Silence, you can muffle any sound that you make to creep up on people. Speed of Thought, double your running speed, taught by a Roadrunner or a Cheetah Spirit. Visions of the Duat. Your eyes become cloudy and pale as you attune your vision to the ashen landscape of the underworld.
Ooh. You
spend a Gnosis and make Perception Occult. For the rest of the scene, the character can see and hear ghosts and detect haunted areas. That's actually cool because Silent Striders in the tribal penalties, they are often haunted. That creatures will find the traveler and decide to move along with you in hopes that you'll help them. So
that's a pretty cool one. I think I'm going to take Visions of the Duat simply for the role-playing aspect of it.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Oh,
I actually don't think that right? I don't think I've ever actually played with somebody being a Silent Strider.
I love the Silent Strider simply because I am fascinated by Egyptian mythology.
So,
like our Thursday game that we're playing with Aldo, I am playing a character steeped in Egyptian mythology.
Very cool.
So, Alice, because you took rights, you would get to pick a right.
Yeah.
They start on page 205. There are lots of different rights.
There are.
Depending on what you want. And so I'm not going to go through because I'm going to have to read each one of those.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I actually started spending my freebie points a little bit, and I bought a second right because it only takes 1 point. And rights there's so many, you don't want to just stop at one.
Yeah, and an important thing in White Wolf games, backgrounds, just you can literally not level them up after you start the game because they're all going to be in play. Something happens, but by the same token, like if I want to, lower Alice's dexterity from a 4 down to something else, well, I'm going to have to, do something to her really. But if I want to take Jacob's clave, I can literally take it. Now, hopefully there's some story aspect, but basically he says, I start with this. It doesn't mean I keep this for the rest of the game. And that's true of all those different backgrounds. Your totem might decide that they don't like you anymore and go away, stuff like that. In fetishes, Jacob's got the big bang here. And so let's go look at that. A clave is a level 4 fetish. The signature weapon of the Garu Nation, claves are fetish daggers of a singular design made to be used in Hamid, Glabro, or Krynos. That's man, werewolf, and man, and then like a slight mix of the two. So all of them, Glabro and Krynos, increase your physicals. Claves are rare weapons made from purest silver, treasured and passed down from hero to hero. A werewolf who carries a clave loses 1 point from his effective Gnosis rating, which is true of any time you carry silver. A war spirit is usually bound within the clave and allows it to inflict aggravated damage even to non-Guru foes. Pulling a clave on another werewolf is considered a grave action, for a clave duel is almost always to the death. Nonetheless, such duels have always been dangerously common, and this practice shows no sign of abating even in the final days. Blah, blah, blah. The difficulty to attack with a clave is a 6, so on your D10 you need a 6 or higher to hit, and it inflicts strength +2 aggravated damage. Werewolves cannot soak this damage unless they are in their breed form. That's being for Alex literally can never soak clave damage because his breed form is werewolf. But Alice, if she's in their lupus form, or Jacob, if he's in his Hamid form, would be able to take that. But that's what that is. Alex, you have 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
And that. So I'm going to just go through the names, and then if one sounds interesting, we'll go back to it and check it out. Cup of the Alicorn, Chameleon Skin, Dagger of Retribution, Dream Stealer, Spirit Tracer. Those are the level 2 sample ones in this book.
Chameleon Skin.
Guru needing to keep a low profile and stay out of sight commonly use this fetish. Generally a belt or headband, it allows a guru's fur to blend in with her surroundings. Chameleon Skin is most effective in the wild and other densely overgrown areas, but some glasswalkers have fetishes that easily harmonize their urban surroundings of glass, steel, and concrete. When activated, the fetish acts as the Wendigo gift camouflage, save that the power may function in whatever environment the fetish is attuned to. A chameleon spirit naturally must be bound into the fetish in order to create it. Chances are that a chameleon spirit will be easier to sway if the skins are of those of a lizard or other than the chameleon, or indeed from another type of animal altogether.
So, for Werewolf Apocalypse 20th Anniversary book, they have a small section of new merits and flaws, but they don't cover the...
Those are Kinfolk. Those are Kinfolk merits and flaws that you're at. Go further back in the book.
Okay.
It's going to be way towards the end.
Okay. I'm looking.
That sounds kind of cool, Alex. And, you could be, you could use your rat's head or whatever that was to, blend in as you're going through cracks and such.
Yep. Let's go with that.
Alice, did you pick a fetish?
No, I have not yet picked a fetish. What page is that?
PDF numbering 223.
Sure, 223. Thank you very much. Ooh.
All right.
I'll look through that and give you feedback. Why don't you move on?
That's fine. So, at that point, you guys are mostly done with the character creation. Alex, like I said, you have 3 points of renown that you're going to spend. And the reason that nobody judges how a Ragabash advances. As you basically, within Werewolf Society, there's 5 levels. And you guys all start at level 1. And that's just that you're the new cubs. And so for Jacob being an Auron, people are going to expect that he's going to go out and whoop ass. And so because of that, he's going to have a high glory. But they also expect that he's going to be honorable as the warrior type. As a Therish, they're going to expect Alice to be wise. And so she's going to need wisdom.
So me appearing like an autist might be a little bit of a problem.
Appearing like a what?
My demeanor that I chose as autist.
Very possible. The Philodox, the judges, they need full honor, and the Galliards, they need some glory and wisdom. But nobody cares how a Ragabash advances, because they are the questioners of the ways, and so they can advance basically when they get X amount of any of these. And so to start off with, you get 3 points that you can associate with your honor, your wisdom, or your glory.
An X amount of a single one, or an X amount of any mix?
Any mix for you. Each of the other types, they say you need this much of this, this much of that, and then we will...
Yeah, for me, I started with 3 wisdom automatically. You get to choose, but I don't get to put into anything else. But yeah, I took nature as survivor and demeanor as autist. I thought it'd be interesting. And so because of that, I'm going to take Yeah, we'll see. For the role-playing
So,
aspect of it.
Alex,
Yeah, I'll do 2 wisdom and 1 glory.
2 wisdom and 1 glory. Cool. And an important thing is, these aren't necessarily, depending on the character that you want to play, they aren't necessarily what you are, but what you've gotten credit for. And so there could be a Ragabash who's like 3 glory, but didn't actually do it. And for some reason, people associate what happened with them, and they achieved that glory themselves. Whether that actually happened or not.
I'm choosing Magpie Swag, by the way, for my...
What does Magpie Swag do, Alice?
So, this Magpie Swag can be pretty much any simple closable bag, satchel, sack, or similar container which can hold thrice the amount of a regular bag the same size. If dedicated, it counts as a single item, even if it fills with other fetishes or even non-dedicated items, and is represented by a stripe of fur in Krynos, Hispo, and Lupus forms. Unfortunately, it cannot contain complex Weaver objects such as guns or laptops unless these items are broken and useless or have been independently dedicated. Variations of this fetish include corporate briefcases of the Glasswalkers, the gym bag of the Bone Nars, and the medicine bag of the Utena. Also, a level 2 variation exists, the Spider Satchel, which is capable of carrying Weaver's objects. To create a Magpie Swag, you must bind a magpie or marsupial spirit into the container.
Wait, can I get like a Magpie Swag bag and hold a bunch of broken Weaver objects and pull them out and use Trash's treasure on them?
Yes,
you could.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Oh, that didn't come out too well. So into the chat in Jitsi, I just wrote out, and I'm doing it in a better format since it doesn't like that. You guys have 15 freebie points. You can get more through flaws, but if we're going to go through flaws, that's going to be a lot of different, picking out and going through all the different options, and there's a ton of flaws and then merits that you can do. And so, since those are generally option, okay, if they both have it, that's awesome. The merits and flaws start on 474. You have 15 freebie points to start with. You can take up to 7 points of flaws to enhance those freebie points. And so I am writing out the cost of things.
Yeah, I'm going and looking at some merits and flaws right now, which is on page 473 is where it starts. And I'm actually really interested in playing this group of characters right now. I think it'd be pretty cool.
And so while you guys are going over that, I am going to kind of cover, since we haven't talked about a whole lot on what willpower and such do. And because there are benefits and there are negatives to some of this.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if I need to... I have a 5 Gnosis to start. That seems pretty good, but I'm wondering if I need to increase that.
That is that's a pretty strong Gnosis by all means as the Lupus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Alice, and actually everybody, anything that I said you cannot take, with freebie points, it becomes a possibility.
Right.
Now, to become a Bonar with a pure breed, that would be very strange, and you'd really want the GM to be on board with that. But Alice, your Lupus ban on what skills you could take, that is lifted at this point.
Okay, well, I didn't bother. I just took 2 specialties, costing me 2 points each, getting me my specialties.
Okay, so these merits flaws can be spent, like these 15 points can be spent on merits, or they can be spent on anything else.
Yeah, so like I wrote in the chat window, attributes cost 5 points per bump, abilities cost 2 points, backgrounds cost 1 point each, a gift costs 7 points, level 1 gifts only, rage costs 1 point per dot, gnosis costs 2 points per dot, and willpower costs 1.
Okay.
So, rage, periodically you will be asked for a rage roll in the game. If you come up with, I think it is 3 successes, you go into a frenzy at that point. You will start ripping into things. Depending on how bad that you rolled, you might just start ripping into friends or foes. A lot of times it is that you will go into combat and just attack foes, though. And so that's the downside of having a lot of rage. The other downside is that if your rage exceeds someone's willpower, as in somebody else's willpower, they sense that feral, barely constrained beast. And so Jacob, even though he's Hamid and grew up with humans, with having that 5 rage, most humans are going to go to the other side of the street when they see him
feel
coming.
very uneasy around him. Yeah.
Yeah. They are going to sense that, this guy is somebody that you don't want to mess with very easily, because they're effectively prey to him. And so what the benefit of rage, it's 4 or more successes that you enter a frenzy. The benefit of rage is that you can get extra actions. By burning a temporary point of rage, you can go again in a combat round. You can do it instead of making that Primal Urge check that I told you guys about to change forms. You can change from a full human to full wolf, bypassing the other stages by spending a rage point. You can use it to recover from stun, and yep. You get rage back by failing with a botch, because it makes you pissed off, by seeing the moon at night. If you're humiliated, you get rage back. And so those are different ways that you can get it back, and there's some other ones, but those are the high points. For Gnosis, the using Gnosis, you cannot use Rage and Gnosis in the same turn. Carrying silver, as we've talked about for Jacob, lowers your Gnosis by 1 point per silver item. And it powers gifts, and to attune to fetishes, you have to use Gnosis. The fetishes that you guys have purchased through backgrounds are naturally attuned to you. But if any of you looked at the fetishes, they have a DC roll or something with them, and you have to be able to make that roll to actually get the fetish to work for you. To regain Gnosis, meditation, sacred hunts, bargaining with spirits, and then between stories, you will heal your Gnosis. And the last one is willpower. Willpower, like all 3 of these, is on a scale of 1 to 10. Most humans are going to be between 1 and 4 willpower, and 2 is going to be the most common willpower among humanity. And so it's really easy to, Jacob's got 5, and that was not an option in the common humanity. And so that's the reason that I say most humans are going to be freaked out by him. And this goes with animals too. But when I ask you to make a roll, or the GM asks you to make a roll, you can spend a willpower before the roll to gain 1 automatic success on that roll. Then you roll your dice and see how much better you get. You can control uncontrollable urges. You can halt the frenzies that you might go on. When you're injured, you can use it to fight on. And the way that you recover willpower is completion of story, personal victories, and when you perform your Auspice duties. And Alice went to an optional system in Werewolf that I personally like, which is there's a nature and a demeanor. And your nature will tell you a way to recover willpower. And so when you act upon that nature, you get willpower back.
I like it a lot, personally, so I always make sure I pick a nature and a demeanor. It makes it a little more fun for role-playing.
All right, I'm trying to find where I can find merits and flaws in the book.
It's page 4, hold on.
74?
473 in the PDF.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's in the first section of the appendix.
Yeah, it was initially it was in the player's guide that they brought these in, and so they were kind of an optional, and so that's why I think they put them in the back of the book.
Yeah, I remember them being in the player's guide in the original Werewolf the Apocalypse, and they were very nice to include all those, because it used to be, everyone was pretty much the same, and now we can, with the merits and flaws system, you can have nice little quirks and
yes.
Oh yeah. a lot of times, that's where the bulk of my 22 freebie points would end up, was in the merits after taking my full load of flaws.
How many flaws am I allowed to take?
Up to 7
7
points.
points of
Up
flaws.
to 7 points. Okay.
So Alice, how did you do with those freebie points?
I'm still spending them. The merits and flaws section is very, very long, but so far I've taken a 2-point flaw called Sign of the Wolf, and I've taken Soft-Hearted, which I'm trying to find the write-up for, but I think I'm going to take Soft-Hearted based on the way that I was already looking at.
I don't think you would want to. You can by all means, but that's going to be hard on you as a wolf.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to take Soft-Hearted. So
that is more a Brandon type flaw a lot of times.
Because you're the healer and the mousy mage, and yeah, I'm gonna go aggro now. Bye.
Yes. But yes, you cannot you cannot abide watching things suffer and such, so you have to leave situations that involve people in physical or emotional pain. And so just eating, your natural diet, you would be like, oh my God, I can't do it.
It's always telling when a game has common sense as an ability, because common sense is not. You would be surprised how much common sense is not common these days.
Yeah.
You actually have to meet people, and it's like, wow, you know to do that? Wow. I'm so happy you have common sense.
Yeah.
It is a
That's
merit.
why I'm taking it.
It is a merit that is often, like, when you meet somebody who's a new gamer or new to World of Darkness or something like that, you're like, why don't we just spend one of those points on common sense? And that way the GM can nudge you every once in a while. When the GM looks up from behind their screen and they're like, are you sure you want to do that? So you open that door, and whenever one of those comes up, that's like the common sense moment.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm thinking that I'm taking Curiosity.
I love Curiosity.
Yeah, Curiosity's fun. It gets you in a little trouble. Because of that, I'm specifically not going to take Common Sense, by the way.
I'll just be being like, I don't think you should be doing that all game long if we ever play.
Oh, wait, Alice.
Oh, Alice, I know what you need.
Uh-huh.
You need to take Strict Carnivore with Soft-Hearted.
No. Wait, Alex. Are you telling me you're going to be my role, the responsible one for once? Because I'm like, no, we shouldn't go doing that. We shouldn't go doing that. Why are you guys running off? We shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, and
Alex
Alex, there is one more
call.
thing that I need to do for you specifically.
Sure.
So let me go find Alex with an X.
This is why you call me Lala.
It's true. That is specifically true in one reason that took prominence away from World of Warcraft, is that way we didn't have to try and figure out which one we were talking to.
Maybe I should take Absent-Minded. I'm curious and absent-minded. Oh, this is sounding fun.
I'm
feeling a bit John-like suddenly on the character. I think I'm going to skip that part.
Well, and think about being a wolf that is suddenly gifted with a lot more knowledge and such, and you're curious about everything that's going on, but really the importance of some of that slips through your fingers a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think Absent-Minded might be a little fun. I'll try it. There's all 7 of my points.
I am looking.
What do you think, Jacob? Does that sound fun?
Sure. It's your character. I am not going to tell you how to play your character.
Yeah. I'm still looking, but that sounds kind of silly. It sounds a bit... I don't know that I would enjoy that long-term, Brandon, because that seems more like something Squish would enjoy long-term.
Gotcha. So, Alex.
Said anything about long term?
That's true.
Alex, as a Metis, you have a problem. This problem is out of one of these, or something else that you can pitch, but it's because both of your parents were Guru, and you came out, and this is with that blood being too strong. You are an albino, you are blind, you suffer fits of madness, you are hairless, you have horns, you're a hunchback, you have no sense of smell, no tail, suffer seizures, a tough hide, wasting disease, weak immune system, or a withered limb.
Right. How is tough hide a bad thing?
So your skin is tough as old leather and considerably less attractive. You have no coat to speak of, merely a few patches of fur here and there across your wrinkled, dry hide. Your appearance can never be greater than 1, and unbearable itching and hot spots are a constant aggravation. On the positive side, you get an extra die on soak rolls, but it's only small advantage to weigh against your smelly, scratchy hide. And this is why you're like, hey man, I'm a Metis, it could be worse. And they're like, oh, you're right, I could be you.
That sounds like the appropriate one. The only one that caught my attention was like no tail.
Not having a tail creates serious communication problems with others of your kind. +1 difficulty in social situations while in Lupus, Hiaspo, or Krynos. In addition, your sense of balance suffers, and it's a +1 difficulty penalty to dexterity rolls as well as while wearing these forms.
Yeah, let's go with the tough hide. Is that just other traits?
Let me look at the character sheet. I'll bring the character sheet up.
I went to phobia instead. Yeah,
I'd probably put it under other traits.
Alrighty.
I went to phobia instead.
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of fireworks and firearms, so that kind of sound and blasting and the lights and the flashes and such like that, those seem pretty accurate for dogs, so, pretty accurate for a husky. I do not like those.
So, as a phobia, is this a 2-point or a 3-point?
I took 3-point because I'm... Yeah.
Overwhelming fear of something. Approach. 3-point of this version of this flaw requires that you make a frenzy check to resist Fox Frenzy when you are faced with what you fear. So Fox Frenzy is running away, as a fox would. And so when you are presented with something like this, like somebody shooting at your pack, you have to make a check lest you flee.
Yep. I figure that's worth 3 points.
That definitely worth 3 points.
I don't like shooting.
Your pack might look for a new Therge, depending.
I guess we'll see. I think it works better than the other one. I think it's a little more sane than absent-minded, especially since absent-minded Therge might get in a little more trouble overall. So, and now I just need to spend on merits.
Or other things, but yes.
Well, I already spent, like I said, I spent 5 points of freebies, 2 on alertness, 2 on enigmas, and 1 on rights. The 2 on alertness gave me sense as my specialty. I still need to look up my enigmas for my specialty options. Thanks for the reminder, Brandon.
I was just about to say the same thing to you, because we're going to get to specialties. So what specialties do is if your specialty, so let's say you've got a 4 or 5 strength, you can take a specialty of steely grip, lower body, or strength reserves are their example specialties. And so anytime, let's say you're making somebody who wants to grapple a lot, so you take Steely Grip on your strength. Anytime that Steely Grip is going to be important in application with your strength, then you're going to, every time the die comes up as a 10, that's 2 successes instead of 1.
Yep. So anytime scent is related for alertness, I get 2 successes instead of 1.
And you can, as I remember, you're able to use a gift to smell while you're in Hamid form still.
Yes, I have that gift. I'm very perceptive for us, guys.
That's pretty good. Then you definitely hear when they're shooting fireworks off.
Might be one of the reasons I don't like fireworks, because it overwhelms my senses. The smell of the gunpowder is too strong. This sound, the lights, it might be too strong for my senses. Might be why I'm afraid of it. Seems right to me.
So, somebody was going to say something?
Nope.
Okay. Alex, for your 4 in manipulation, you can have a specialty of Forked Tongue, Unswerving Logic, Double Talk, or Seduction from the tough-hided Bonar menace that can't get it on.
Yeah, that's not going to be the one.
I would just like to point out,
Just have Barry White music follow him everywhere.
I just have this terrible feeling that that we better play this as a campaign, because otherwise every single one-shot we play will start on 4th of July.
It could be Chinese New Year.
Sure, or Chinese New Year. So
What
there-
is the song in the book?
National Yosemite Sam Day?
Never heard of that one.
You will. You will. Your character's perceptive enough to have heard of that one before.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna
There.
take for enigmas things werewolves were not meant to know. Seems pretty close to if I told you I'd have to kill you. So I'll go with things werewolves were not meant to know.
Is there a reference on these?
On the specialty?
Yeah.
Page 127 is the manipulation specialty. They're going to each be in the section that they're associated with.
Okay. Pull that up.
So, Jacob, for your stamina, you can be unbreakable, tireless, or resilient.
And those are...
For your stamina. Oh, no, that's Alex that's got... Oh, okay, no, Alex has a 5 stamina. You have a 4 stamina. Yep.
I have a 4 stamina.
Yep.
So what do those do for me?
If, like I say, on a roll, if being unbreakable or being tireless or being resilient would matter, when you roll a 10, that's 2 successes instead of 1.
Okay, I will go with tireless.
Ooh.
Alex, you get a similar choice, which you're going to those pages.
So I gotta say, the way that Alex's Ragabosh is coming out, I kind of feel like he himself is one of those things werewolves were not meant to know.
What's the difference between unbreakable and resilient?
It all depends on what you're going to do. Resilient, to me, it speaks more of bouncing back, while unbreakable is not giving in the first place. But you look up and you're like, does unbreakable matter? Or you tell me why being unbreakable matters. You're like, I'm Bruce Willis.
I gotta say though, Brandon, Uktana kind of sounds like some creature out of Diablo 2. Just saying.
And where would we note these on this sheet?
So you put on your skill, you put next to it parentheses, and then your specialty
brackets.
and parentheses.
Got it. Alrighty.
So is anybody done with their freebie points?
I am.
Go for
All
it,
right, Jacob. How did it all come out in the wash?
Okay, I bought merits of common sense and danger sense. I have the flaws of no partial transformation. Band transformation went around Wolfsbane. And Sign of the Wolf So I have like a pentagram that appears on my hand because I really liked that effect in the TV series Werewolf from the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful show if you've ever seen it.
Yes, we have. We've also seen Kindred the Embraced, which a bunch of my friends keep saying, I've never seen it. I'm like, how have you never seen it?
And with the points I have, I bought 2 more points of Gnosis, 1 point of willpower. I bought an extra gift, Speed of Thought, so I doubled my speed. And I increased my pure breed to 4.
Oh, I also haven't done my specialties for my attributes. So anybody who has a 4 in an attribute, remember to go back and do that. I need to do that myself.
I love Speed of Thought with the fact that you can spider climb up stuff. It's such a classic combination.
Speed of Thought, city running, and now I'm tireless. No one's getting away from me.
Ooh.
Well, awesome. Do you have a name?
Yes, his name is Horace Farrow.
Horace Farrow. Hamid Aron Silent Strider. And with that much pure breed, people like werewolves all over would recognize you, would recognize that bloodline, and you'd probably be, minorly famous, and that's probably one reason that you've got your father's lightsaber.
Yeah. And if this game were being made into a movie or TV show, he would be cast as Oded Fair. So if you've ever seen the Mummy movies, he was like the leader of the Magi.
I'm just picturing, your dad is, Amun-Ra Pharaoh or whatever, but they're like, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yep.
All right, Alice, how about you? Did it all come out in the wash?
So I have some of it done, but I still have some freebie points to spend. I can start going over what I've done, though, without a problem. As I mentioned, I already spent 5 points going back into my attributes and my ritual, my background. I took Sign of the Wolf, Curiosity. That's 4 points total. Sign of the Wolf is 2. Curiosity is 2. Instead of the pentagram, the wolf symbol on the hand, though, here on the base of my palms, I have tufts of fur. And so it's hard to hide, and I kind of just pull sleeves down and stuff like that to hide it. Curiosity, obvious, and I already talked about my phobia. So far, I've got double jointed and wolf sight for my merits. I am thinking about taking common sense, because despite being curious, I think common sense might still be useful.
What's wolf sight, Lala?
Wolf sight, let me pull that up. In all your forms, you see colors and intensities of light as a wolf does. The color vision is slightly less distinct than that of humans, though. You embrace the full spectrum of colors. Your night vision, however, far surpasses human nocturnal vision. You also notice movement more readily. You gain an extra die to all visually based perception rolls that involve movement or take place at night.
That's awesome. You definitely are in that whole mixed... that while you're in a Hamid form, you still have the power of the wolf. You might want to look at there's a mixed morph, I think is what the merit is, that allows you to... All right, you're already looking at it?
You find the art of partial transformation relatively easy and make the required dexterity plus primal urge roll at a difficulty 6 rather than 9. The 5-point version of this merit eliminates the need for a willpower point. You can achieve partial transformation almost at will. I was literally thinking about taking a 5-point version of that because I have a lot of freebie points right now.
Just with the fact that, you've got multiple things that are allowing you to bring your wolf senses over.
By all means, I totally agree with that.
Have you spent any of your others?
No, at that point I have... Let me get you how many points I have left right now.
Oh, that's fine. What about you, Alex? How are you doing over there?
I think I got it down.
I have 10 freebies left that I'm working on.
I was gonna buy another point of strength, another point of stealth, another point of streetwise. It's gonna buy a point of another background fetish so I can get a bag of trash. It's gonna also get wolf sight, bad taste, common sense, inner strength, pitiable. Let's see, point of rage, point of gnosis, and 2 points of willpower. And then for flaws, I was gonna take animal musk, shy, speech impediment, and minus for cursed. That gives me relationships that like fail all the time.
You're just gonna dole out the reasons why when you use that gift. That you're like, I don't need to come up with anything situationally specific. It's just like me.
Yep. Just doubling down on what's going on.
There you go. That sounds awesome.
I've been doubling and tripling down on myself on the same stuff again and again, so can't blame you. Brandon, I'm going to take Daredevil since I'm curious.
Okay. I'm not disputing, but just, that this means that. Because I'm curious, I'm a Daredevil.
Uh-huh.
That's like the Hiro Karuro school of thought. Because I have a thermal detonator, I will use it every game.
Uh-huh. And you did.
So Alice,
I'm really not sure about that common sense bit. I think
it does not sound like
no,
common sense.
I think I'm going to use Jacob to be my common sense on my shoulder. You okay with that, Jacob? My little common sense conscience?
I suppose I, the big bad warrior, will be your spirit guide.
Thank you.
What should I do? Hit it! What do I do now? Hit it again!
Magic! Magic now!
Cast a spell? Aren't you the spellcaster?
Oh, that's funny.
Jacob, I'm surprised you didn't end up with a long distance runner.
I think I'm fine between the speed abilities that I have.
Run for days.
I'm going to take Time Sense for 1. That sounds like a useful one for me.
You always know when dinner's coming.
Mm-hmm. I always know when.
How many points do you have left at that point, Alice?
Hold on. Eidetic memory goes with my autism. I have... Let me double check my math here. I have 4 points left of freebies. So...
Sounds like you're starting to run low.
Yep. I am going to take... Ooh, Inner Strength is very useful since it works with my my survivor bit.
And Alice, where was the natures and demeanors?
I will have to look at that for you in just a moment.
Personality archetypes. If you guys want to look, it's on page 555. And so, Alex, the way that this works is you take a nature and a demeanor. Your demeanor is how you act, but your nature is your true self. So the demeanor is just a role-playing guide, but the nature allows you to regain willpower.
Yeah.
And apparently Jacob's already there, the big bad wolf.
Yep. I took Survivor for my nature and Autist.
What page did you say that was?
555.
No, it's 493, Alex. And
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like, it doesn't go
555 is
that
at the
far.
end of the book.
555 is the total book. That's where I was seeing. But yeah, 488 PDF numbering is where that starts. Haha, looked at the wrong number on the iPad.
And I need to look at the autist again, but I'm pretty sure that's...
Well, no, you need to spend your freebie points, Alice.
Okay.
That's the same list for both, is that right?
Yes. One is just the way that you kind of act, and they can be the same. Then you act the same way that you really are. Other people act and are a little bit different.
I spent it.
What'd you get?
I will tell you in a sec. I spent another point in investigation. That cost me 2. So I'll need to pick a specialty for that. So my freebies were spent 2 on alertness, 2 on enigma, 2 investigation, 1 on rights. That totals to 7 points, which counteracts my flaws of sign of the wolf, curiosity, and phobia. Those wash out. Then I have 15 left. For those 15, I have 1 in double jointed, 1 in wolf sight, 5 in mixed morph, 3 in daredevil, 1 in time sense, and 2 in eidetic memory, and 2 in inner strength, which apparently leaves me at 1 short. So I have 1 more point left, which means I will put that in I'll put that in a 3rd right, which will make it easier.
That's
awesome.
Pretty good.
I'm spent.
And then what was your nature and what was your demeanor? Survivor was your nature?
My survivor is my nature, and autist was what I am looking at for being my demeanor.
So I don't see that starting on 488.
Yeah, autist is one of the ones that's in the drop-down menu options.
Oh.
Character sheet. And I liked the thought of being the autist, given the definition of what an autist is, and so therefore I'd be a little Rain Man-y, because with the way that I, with hyper senses and hyper investigation and obsessions, a little bit of a, Rain Man complex seemed to line up pretty well for me.
And, your demeanor is not the most important. It's just kind of a role play guide. The nature is the one that has a system.
Exactly.
What about you, Jacob? Did you figure out how you are?
In terms of nature and demeanor?
Yeah.
I'm still looking over those. I'm reading them. Right now I could easily just go with alpha, considering.
You're our alpha?
He is the Auron, the big bad Auron.
Sounds good to me. And he's the common sense guy.
Listen to me. I bought a merit that says I know not to open that. How about you, Alex? Did you read through and figure out some natures or demeanors? Or are you still going?
Thinking maybe like I think I want to incorporate the rogue as a demeanor, and maybe martyr or survivor. Seem kind of diametrically opposed to be a rogue martyr, but.
Mm-hmm. I was super convinced you were going to go visionary or something like that. Listen to the tough hide, Medicine Ragabash Bonard vision of the future.
And perception is my other one.
I'm gonna go with alpha soldier.
Awesome.
So alpha's the nature, soldier's the demeanor.
Let's do a rogue trickster.
Okay. Alex loves tricksters, so also in this book, and then there's another book that gives more details on them, but the Nuisha, which is the Were Coyotes, are in, and by all means, that's one that I think of for some of your characters, Alex, since they are the ultimate tricksters.
I guess it'd be a trickster nature and a rogue demeanor, to make that clear.
So
Yep.
I am done on my character at that point. My character's name is Atna Tin, so it is AHTNA space TIHN.
So they're like, oh my, you did so much for us, and you're like, nothing.
Shh.
What is your name, the great hero? Nothing. No, we want to know your name. It's a big deal. Nothing.
Oh dear, this is Ignot important all over again. But Ignot was not me. Brandon, I just dropped that.
That is very true.
I just dropped
Oh,
that.
awesome.
I have to explain that one.
Yep. So, are we all done? Should we have someone do the closing?
Alex was saying that you might want to explain Ignot important.
Oh, I'm going to leave that to Brandon or Alex to do that.
We have a great friend, John, who he came up with this great cleric concept in 3rd edition. It was going to be a cleric of Pelor, totally healing focused. And I said, John, that's a great idea. But have you thought about having a 20 strength as a cleric? And as John was wont to do, he listened to me whenever I advertised, have you thought about having a 20 in this stat? And so he made an orcish cleric with no charisma, good strength, minimal wisdom, and then other stats that went in there. And so he was trying to come up with the name for the character, and he named it Ignot Important. And so with the accent, people were like, "Oh, what's your name?" And Ignot Important. And so yes, that was a long-running gag.
Yep.
And it was for RPGA, and so every 4 hours you got to introduce your character basically, because you'd be dealing with new people.
Yep.
And so yes, he got his mileage out of the gag.
At one pug table, they treated him so poorly because they did not understand how he was supposed to be built, and they kept trying to tell him how to play his character and kept telling him to stay back and heal and such like that. And the party was just not understanding how to handle a dragon fight, and they were just getting beat up and doing dumb things. And John finally got tired of healing, and he said, and he just started casting spells on himself, and he's like, fly, and I forget, he cast 3 spells on himself, and they're all looking like, why aren't you doing this or that? And he's like, well, he was just really, really tired of the group, and he just cast 3 spells on himself, and then he flew in and killed the dragon by himself. And the only damage that had been done before that was 6 points of damage, and he killed the dragon in 2 rounds solo. And they're like, oh, that's what you're built to do. And he's like, I've been trying to tell you guys all game, this is what I do. Yeah. It was hilarious because they were treating him so terribly until he killed the boss all by himself.
And Alex, what about you for our very obviously well-respected Bonar?
Yes, very well-respected Bonar.
What's your name?
Thinking will work for food. No, Willie Wallows.
By the way, I actually went to look up Alaskan names and to look up Alaskan, native names, and so Atna was literally one of the names, okay? I picked names that were actually real. The gag was not intended at all.
Well, Alice, why don't you sign us off then? Guys, I had a great time just making some characters, and I would happily run for the group at some point.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching BWK playing with character generation for Werewolf the Apocalypse 20-year anniversary edition. Let's see about trying to get a game going sometime. Bye.
Adios, everybody.
Goodbye.